Okay, I want to go over the Better Handles plugin by 9block Software now, and we're going to do that by demonstrating for you a bug within Illustrator. And it's been here for a while, and Adobe is well aware of it, but for whatever reason, they still choose not to fix it. I've actually been told by some people who are very well informed about Adobe that this isn't so much a bug. They say it's more because Illustrator is too precise. So I don't know if I completely buy that. I can kind of understand the logic behind it, but I just think either way, it's just dumb that this isn't fixed yet. And this is going to demonstrate what the problem is. So let's say you have these two shapes and you're trying to form one complete shape. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure we have smart guides turned on, and this will tell us when we're over an anchor point, when we're over a path, and we'll select this shape based off of this anchor point. We'll just drag it directly over until it tells us you're intersecting with this path. That's great. That's what we want. And we'll drop it there. So we have these two shapes together. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and fuse these two shapes into one. So we'll select both of them, and using the Pathfinder, we'll click Unite. And that's exactly what it does. It gives us one shape. It looks good. Doesn't look like there are any problems. But now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Better Handles plugin palette. No paths are selected now. If we select the same path again, it tells us that it's a one path, it's a closed path, there's no openings in it, and that this path contains 14 points. But notice how it has an exclamation mark there. Well, whenever you have a shape selected, if an exclamation mark shows up in the Better Handles plugin, then that means there's a redundant point within your shape. And what a redundant point is, and this is the bug in Adobe Illustrator, is that there is one anchor point piggybacking directly on top of another anchor point. Imagine somebody sitting on somebody's shoulders, and if you're looking down from space, from a satellite, and you're looking at them, it might appear to be only one person, but in actuality, there's two people there. One's just sitting directly on top of the other one. Well, that's kind of what happens at times when you build using shapes in Illustrator. Illustrator doesn't recognize that you only want one point, so it stacks them. So I've had files that had 3 points sitting on top of one another. In this case, I think we only have one, but the Better Handles plugin palette is telling us we definitely have some redundant points. How many? We're not sure. But what you can do is with the shape selected, you just go into Options palette under Better Handles, down to Remove Redundant Points, and watch this number right here. Right now it says there's 14 points. So this will remove them, and it'll reveal the new total point count within this path. Okay, so we only had one redundant point because it went from 14 to 13 points, but now it's fixed. So that's good. Now to show you, we're going to Command Z to show you where that redundant point was. I'm going to do some investigating. I think it's right. Yep, there it is, right there. So if we just highlight them, they look correct. Doesn't look like there's any redundant points, but when you click on it and pull out, you can see that there is a redundant point right underneath it. So with the Better Handles tool, all you have to do now is just go to the Options palette, Redundant Points, and it'll remove that redundant point. So now if we go back to this point, there is no redundancy there. It's just one point, the way it should be. It's the way that Illustrator should build it, but for whatever reason, that bug exists. But the nice thing is there's second-party plugins that make your life easier, that address these issues that seemingly get overlooked by Adobe engineers. And there's some great programmers out there, such as the people at 9block Software, who recognize it and come up with great solutions like this to resolve it. So Better Handles plugin, big thumbs up to them. That's great. Now, the other part of the Better Handles plugin that is, in my opinion, worth its weight in gold is what's called the Smart Remove. So I'm going to bring up this piece of artwork. It's just a funky little character I did for my sister for her elementary school for a t-shirt. Well, we're going to look at this specific artwork, and what we want to do is we're going to go into the keyline view just so you can see it a little easier. If we select this point, let's say we want to delete that point, but we don't want to ruin the art. Well, in Illustrator, if we go up under the control panel, remove selected anchor points, and we click that, it'll remove this point, but it'll also change our artwork. So it doesn't smartly remove it. It removes it, but because you removed it, it alters the course of the path, as you can see. So if we toggle back and forth, Command Z, you can see how that changed. Remove it again, and it affects the art. We don't want that. We want to remove it without affecting the art. So Adobe's method isn't really the greatest solution here. But with the Better Handles plugin, if you just select it, and on their palette, on the Better Handles palette, they have this button called Smart Remove Points. Now watch what happens with this point selected, and if I click this, it doesn't affect the art. The art is the same. And that's the nice thing about this. If we go to this one now, and we do the same, the art stays the same. It doesn't affect the art. It smartly removes the point. And that's just absolutely awesome. This is such a great little feature that I'm using this all the time now. And it mainly helps me when I'm shape building because of the redundant point issue. But in terms of building out other shapes, there's times when I have to use a combination of both methods. So Smart Remove will help me just clean up and optimize my art. This is a great feature if you're a font designer, because many times you're hand lettering stuff, scanning it in, auto tracing it, and you just get a million points you don't want. Well, this will help you remove them without compromising the integrity of your art. So it's a great feature. Now, even though it's a smart remove, I would say it's smart removed within reason. And this is why I say that. If you had a square is made up of 4 points. So if you say, well, I'm going to remove 1 point of the square using Adobe's thing, well, that's what you get. You get a triangle. Well, that's because you need 4 points to make a square. 3 points is a triangle. So no surprise there. Now, well, what if I use the smart remove? Maybe it'll smartly remove it. Well, let's see what it does. So you click smart remove, and well, it just looks really bad. It's because a square needs 4 points. So it's within reason that this will work. This feature works great on organic shapes that have free-flowing curvature to them, but when it's a simple geometric shape, such as a circle, such as a square, we know that a circle and a square really take 4 points minimal to make it precise. Let's take a look at another one. So we're back at this shape. Now, sometimes in the build process, when you're creating shapes like this, you can't help but get extra points, and sometimes they're not even in what I would consider their prime point location. So it can cause some issues moving forward. So it's better just to remove them. So just to demonstrate how you can remove them smartly using this feature, we're going to select this one. Once again, we're going to go into the keyline view so it's a little easier to see. And if we click Smart Remove, you can see how it removes that without affecting the shape of the overall piece. We'll do the one on the bottom. Once again, removes it without affecting the shape of the piece. And maybe we even do this one too. Now that one, you can see how it's having a little harder time removing it. So that's when I would just go Command Z. And that's the nice thing about Command Z, is because you can undo what you screwed up. And as you work, you're never going to get anything perfect. So it's okay to try stuff. If it doesn't work, just Command Z, go back, try something else. That's a creative process. A creative process is always looking to improve your art. And sometimes that takes you doing it the wrong way several times before you figure out the best way to do it. You know, that's how I learn most of the things I do. So anyway, this is the Better Handles plugin by 9block Software. It's a great way to edit and refine your work. And these two primary features, the remove redundant points and the smart remove points, are two great features of the Better Handles plugin that you'll utilize on a daily basis if you integrate it in your creative process. So this ends the essential plugins video for Vector Basic training. Thank you.